What's going on? It's your boy DameSmiff, and tonight we're going to talk quickly about how you can leave a footprint or at least leave an impression in the music industry as you're entering it. So, if you're interested in topics like this, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We're going to be getting into a lot of topics that are going to be surrounding career oriented things for artists and entertainers, but kind of just dipping into different concepts surrounding things like that as well. So, when we think about getting started with like the music industry, it's similar to like getting started with any job, right? And you want to make a first impression that's generally going to benefit what you want for the music industry. So that's why I'm always telling artists and things like that to think about the end result of your career. What does it look like when you're like reaching the ending phase of it? Like, are you bowing out and retiring? Do you ever plan on retiring? Is there no retirement in sight? And so as we look into things like that, we got to also think about how we want to step into the industry. And so some people, they'll like kind of stumble upon it. Like for me, I kind of chose the path of being a musician through school. So like a lot of the things that I'm doing is like being very meticulous and like taking very meticulous steps and making sure things are in order, right? Whereas other people, they kind of just land upon an opportunity based on how talented they are, or maybe who they know, or where they're located, maybe right place, right time. And then at the other hand, you have people that really just don't know that they're, doing it. It's just a part of their culture. Like their whole family is just into music or whatever. And it's not a thought to be a lifestyle. It's just, woven within their culture, right? And so let's kind of explore a few of the options you have when we're considering making a lasting or great first impression. And so one of the options would be obviously your talent, right? If you can come into the industry and outwork people or simply just, outperform people with your instrument or your singing or vocals and things like that, that can always make a huge difference. Now, the next thing you can do is try to figure out ways to outshine people. That's not necessarily outworking people, but it's being a little bit more valuable to people. And that can come in a lot of different ways. But let's say to keep it in general about music, that can be that you have great artwork or you have a great message behind your music or the way you package your music comes together well. Like maybe your music isn't, you know, super complex or competitive, but the way you perform on stage or the way your band delivers the music makes it next level. And so, considering some of these things, we have to really ask ourselves, how are we going to prepare ourselves to pull off these types of things, right? How are we going to put ourselves in positions to benefit off these decisions? And a lot of the times it comes through your culture, like literally how you were raised is going to be a good portion of it, but I think a lot of the things that artists are going to be missing when it comes to a first impression is understanding what impression they want to make. And that's going to be key. Because when most artists are marketed the opportunities in the music industry, it's always about your individuality and, expressing yourself and things like that. But there's repercussions and consequences to how you express yourself and whether or not we will react appropriately for you to be successful. And let's take a quick thought at about like what examples we can think of, right? So let's say if you're hip hop is a great example. If you're a rapper, if you're a male rapper, but you try to come off that kind of you try to come off in a way that kind of like counteracts what common sense would lead you to believe about a male rapper, you have an uphill battle when it comes to trying to like make a lasting impression with people that's going to be beneficial. Okay, now, that may sound complex, or it may even sound like something you disagree with, but it's honestly something that I myself had to kind of grow to understand as a student because what I believed was as a musician, you knew who could play or perform really well, but you kind of like gravitated to who you liked. But then at the same time, there are people who perform really well that we don't like, or people that don't perform well that we do like. And all of these kinds of people can find opportunities within the music industry, and they have kind of like a marriage to the industry as a whole, and they all work together. So once you can identify the differences between these people, it gets a lot easier to kind of figure out where you want to be for yourself as a musician, or who you want to support as a fan. So does your favorite artist have, really high talent and not really good business acumen, or maybe you don't like what they believe personally? And then the next question you can ask yourself is, does that really matter to what I'm, supporting or trying to get for my career as an artist? So now let's try to put it upon ourselves. I'm a musician, and if you're watching this, you might be a musician as well. What is the kind of impression you want to leave for your fans, or even just, other record labels or other artists and things like that? Maybe it's not so much about your fans, but about like, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to get out to the world, right? And your first impression has got to be something that you can stand behind. It has to be something that if someone does disagree with you or actually try to like validate, can you stand behind what you're communicating? Now, this seems like for some musicians, especially younger aged musicians, this can seem like, pointless. Like it doesn't matter. Like we should just be able to just make noise and you hear it. And then if you like it, you don't. Well, the thing you have to worry about as an artist is I guess you could say, the growth of your business, especially if you plan on being in the music business. And what that means is you have to look at, am I going to be an artist that my fans are going to grow with, or am I going to be an artist that people remember? And that can kind of be controversial for people, because if you choose being remembered, that means that there's going to be an end to what we would deem the greatest part of you, right? Or the best part of you. Or if you choose to do something that's more like business oriented, it might not fall in line with some of your personal beliefs, right? And that can be difficult for people to make a statement within the music industry or a statement to the world, because it's obviously um very vulnerable to try to make music that's for someone else to enjoy and still try to like put your own personality and passions into it. But that is the reality that you live within as an artist. You have to figure out how to take the thing that you love and enjoy, package it into a way that people are going to like understand and grasp and still support, and at the same time make a real, true, and honest living with it. And it's something that we're going to have to figure out culturally, because it's going to be different for different cultures. Like, hip hop is one thing, maybe rock has a different thing, maybe actors have a completely different thing from like painters and the musicians. So who knows? So if this was interesting to you, let me know and I'll make more videos like this. And this was a late night at Dames, and we had a quick chat about like how to make a first impression as an artist and what to really think about. And let me know in the comments if you have any kind of like questions.